Welcome to Rise and Thrive, where we are picking the brains of real estate agent and business masters in the Baton Rouge and surrounding areas. Today, I have with me Victoria Gardner. She's with Noah Living Realty, and she's here to talk about real estate and about staging and the importance of staging a home properly in order to get it sold. So welcome, Victoria.
I'm so excited.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me a little bit about yourself.
So I'm 27. I'm happily married. I have a little boy. We live in the Hammond area, but I've lived pretty much all over. I have family in Baton Rouge, so I'm here frequently. I go to South Shore, North Shore. My little tag is selling SELA because I will literally go anywhere in Southeast Louisiana.
Okay.
Let me think. I've been in real estate for 3 years. I just actually started up my staging company. Right now we're just virtual staging, but I will move into, I'm starting to collect pieces to, really stage a home.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Yeah, because now that you mentioned the virtual staging, like that's something new and upcoming into the real estate world. So let's start with that. So staging a home to sell is real important these days, because a lot of people do online searches.
Yes.
And if the home in the pictures doesn't look well, then it's, and then when they go, I know when people go into a home, if it's too cluttered or too much, they can't picture themselves there. So staging is super important.
Absolutely. They need to see, especially with open floor concepts or like a big thing right now, people can't really see, okay, the dining room can go there. A lot of people don't have that like imagination that like I personally do. My wife does not. So she would be one of the people that would need to see it, even virtually, how the home could like operate smoothly with all the furniture in there. So
I have to pride myself on I have vision.
Yes.
So I've purchased several foreclosed properties in the past where I've had to literally convince my husband that this house has a lot of potential.
Yes.
Because I can see past kind of the ugly, and I'm not scared of a little bit of work either. So, but as far as staging goes, I mean, that's the placement of furniture and things like that, right? And then making it like a little bit zen too, with plants and stuff like that, and lighting.
Yes,
right.
Lighting's huge.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't want to live in dungeons,
Right. No, like I live in a home that's in one of those, like it's a garden home, and so it's like zero lot line. So we're like right next to each other, and so on the sides of our homes, we don't have a lot of windows because there's another house right there.
Right.
So
you're looking at them.
So I can see, like when I buy another house, like I really like my house, but if I buy another one, that's going to be something I'm thinking about is the light and the windows coming in from multiple
areas.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't think about that until it's too late and they bought the house. And I have a lot of clients like that, but I've been making it a point to like open blinds and be like, let's see how much light actually comes in, because I know that's like a big complaint with buyers.
And especially in those zero lot line, little subdivisions,
garden homes,
where they're just built right next to each other. And so, and there's a reason why they don't put like a ton of windows on the side, because you're not going to get a lot of lighting, and B, you're just going to see a brick wall or something. So nobody really wants
into someone's house.
Yeah. So, now that's the actual physical staging. What about the virtual staging? I know there was a lot of virtual
hype
right
now. Virtual staging. I mean, when people see it online, it kind of helps them, but it's obviously not in the home itself. So I always like to print out, for open houses and stuff, so that they can look at it while they're physically in the room. But I mean, virtual staging is a cheaper option. It's less work, from, a real estate agent side or from the stager side. It's just less work. I mean, it's great work and it's definitely needed, but just an easier option to just kind of see it immediately. And also you can help if they love the virtual staging. All right, well, the stager can go in and make it physical if they were to want that.
True. So that might be the first step of actual physical staging is virtual staging. That way you can kind of see what looks good in the room.
Absolutely.
So on the virtual staging, I'm assuming like all this stuff is measured out. So like the bed and everything, like, if there's a king size bed in this room, this is how it feels and how it fits in the room. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's all measured out.
Yeah.
You can plot
so
those dimensions
scale,
in there.
basically.
Yes.
Okay.
And it really helps.
Yeah. I think that's really cool. Like everything is kind of moving into the virtual, the AI, and all this stuff lately, which is really neat in some aspects, as long as we don't totally depend on it.
Exactly.
You know, because we still need people to walk us through things, especially in buying or selling.
Exactly.
You know, you still need that person to walk you through and give you advice and everything.
It's a good tool to use.
It's a tool.
But you really need a person, a professional, a stager, a realtor, a lender. You need these specific people to help you, because I know I get frustrated talking with big banks for my real estate side clients. I'd rather a person, really like local, definitely local, that you can call up and just really get, you know, all the answers right then and there, instead of, you know, a busy line or whatever.
Or trying to dial an extension to get to someone who, yeah,
I'm that person that's always yelling, I need a person. Like, please. It's so bad.
This is kind of off topic, but I was listening to a TikTok where they were doing these fake prank calls where they were telling them, hey, we're calling about your car's warranty. And the guy was like, no. You know, the thing is like, are you interested in that car warranty? He was like, no. And he's like, okay, I heard yes. And then he was like saying operator, but it was a prank call. So it wasn't like real, somebody was pranking him, but it was funny because it's actually like, that feels like what it is when you try to call these, you know, bigger banks / mortgage companies, that aren't local. Like it's frustrating to get to the right person sometimes.
Yes.
So I totally get that. Of course, you have my cell number. So, I mean, you can reach me by cell. And a lot of those don't have that. But so back to the staging. So when do you plan on getting your company kind of up and running?
So I was planning, you know, this summer I was going to focus more on staging, just because summer is typically slower in the real estate market, et cetera. But I had a really bad, not to bring it down, but I had 2 bad deaths in my family. So it's really taken a hit. But I'm finally up and moving. So I'm hoping that at least by the end of 2024 that I can have, you know, pieces and more clients when it comes to staging, because I haven't really been marketing it or anything. I haven't really been doing anything, quite honestly. So I'm finally getting back up and running after a little over a month from the last one and like 2 months from the past before that.
That's terrible. I'm sorry.
2024.
Because it can drag you down and like delay, but you know, you have a goal.
Yes.
And you'll be able to help not only your own clients with their staging, but other real estate agents who need that assistance as well.
Exactly.
And that expertise. Because, you know, I kind of see this a lot. Real estate agents, you guys are great, but if you focus on 1 or 2 little niches, it's better than trying to be good at everything.
Yes, absolutely. Because I tried that at first, and it was like being pulled in every direction. Yeah,
and it's
you
like
can't improve in one. You know,
right. It's the same on our side a little bit. I'm a first-time homebuyer expert, so I just I've gotten a lot of those clients, and so I've learned a lot of how to work with them. And so now I say that's my niche, because that's just how my career. That's just the way it went. And, but the, part of just kind of knowing everything, like nobody can know everything.
Yes. That's a big thing.
So it's good to have others who you can, you know, turn to for like staging assistance or whatever in the, real estate world. We're here today at the podcast. We film at Phoenix Title in Baton Rouge off of Coursey. Thanks Teresa Ko, who's the owner of Phoenix Title, for letting us film our podcast here. So just wanted to give a shout out to her. We're in her realtor lounge. So if ever you need a place to stop in and you know, need a place to work, you can pop in over here. And so just wanted to give a shout out to Teresa.
It's a beautiful location.
It is, huh?
Yes.
So you drove in from Hammond, but you do a lot of real estate here in Baton Rouge.
Yes, I do a lot of real estate in Baton Rouge. I was actually on a call on the way here with another investor client wanting to move over here and start finding some houses to make beautiful again. Okay.
So you work with a lot of investors, or?
I work with a good number of them, but I will say my niche is also, I love helping first-time home buyers. They're like my babies. Like I feel like a maternal thing with them. I want to help them because my first sale was my own home with me and my wife. And so I know how stressful and scary, and that was like, I was the realtor. So I was extra nervous to like mess it up. or whatever. But that's why I just have a soft spot for my first time home buyers. But an investor, they're very nice, and I really like working with them too.
Okay, awesome. We have some good products for investors if they finance their homes.
Perfect.
But as far as first time buyers go, since that's both of our niche, let's talk about that for a little bit. So, the stigma, I guess, with first time buyers is just that it's a stressful process.
Yeah.
And can be very scary.
Yeah.
And I get that. And I don't try to ignore those feelings because they're real.
It's valid. Yeah.
It is valid. They feel like that. They've heard horror stories.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. When I have a client who's got something tricky in their file that I feel like, I'll go ahead and get underwriting to look at it first and get it approved before they even go under contract, because I feel like that's going to make their process a lot less stressful if they know that they are approved in underwriting before they, put in an offer on a home.
Right, and do inspections and all that, right?
Because it's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of out-of-pocket expense just going under contract.
Right.
Your earnest money deposit, your inspection cost, and then your appraisal fee.
Right.
So, just, educating them and letting them know it's not all, brought at the end. There's a lot of things to do, throughout the process that cost. Yeah. So you got to have a little bit of money in the bank.
Yes.
Going into the process. I do have a lot of clients who need assistance or, need kind of help figuring out how to come up with their down payment, and cash to close. And we have a lot of strategies that we do to help with that. But I always stress, it's better to come to the table with your own money rather than trying to get someone else's money, either as a gift or down payment assistance. But we do have the products for that. So don't let that deter you from getting started.
Right.
If that's your only, fear. And then you have the credit part of it.
Right.
And that's another fear for first time buyers, is just that they don't feel like their credit is perfect. And let me tell you, if I only dealt with clients with perfect credit, I wouldn't close that many loans. Because it is, we just came out of the pandemic, right? Yes. So that caused a lot of pressure and strain on people's finances.
Financial, I
see a lot of high credit card debt from that. We see, some late payments and stuff like that. But there's ways to work around a lot of that.
Absolutely.
So, let your clients know that if they think they want to buy a home, they should talk to a specialist, because they just, they're basing their fear on what they've heard, and it's not on their own situation.
And then even if they're not ready in this moment, I love whenever lenders give steps, here, if you do X, you'll get this, in 6 months to a year or even less. So it really, the first step is always talking to a lender. Always. That's the first thing I tell my clients. Once they contact me, a customer, and they're like, hey, I'm interested, but I don't know where I'm at. Lender.
I know.
Always the first step.
But they're scared. They're scared because they think we're going to tell them no. And I rarely ever tell someone no, flat out no. It's maybe not right now, but here's a plan. Yeah. So it's rarely ever flat out no. It's more than likely either yes, here's what we can pre-approve you for, or it's, in a few months, you'll be ready if you do these things.
Exactly. Or even right now, we'll pre-approve you for this much, but if you do these things, you'll get pre-approved for more. Right. Because a lot of people are like, oh, I don't like that number. I want a little bit higher. And then, okay, well, here's what you can do to get there.
Yeah. And there's some strategies for that. We talk about a lot of those things with our buyers because, everybody deserves to build wealth through real estate.
Yes.
And you've got to dip your toe in the water and get started. Even if it's not it's not going to be a perfect house.
Exactly. Your first home is very rarely your forever home.
Especially if you have some credit issues or some other type of financial issues. Yeah. It's not going to be your perfect home. Right. And that's okay, because once you get started with your first home, it's a lot easier to get into another home later on.
Yeah. You have your foot in the door.
Yeah. So, I say if you can afford rent, more than likely
Mhm.
you can afford to buy. But there's a lot of things that rental companies don't look at when they're approved, when you're okay to rent versus to buy. So there's some things to consider there. But so do you primarily work with buyers?
I have primarily worked with buyers, but as of lately, I've been getting some more listings.
Okay.
And I have some more potential ones coming up. So I'm very excited. And then obviously with the investors, I'll have some of those coming up in Baton Rouge, but I've done a lot of listings in like the Tangipahoa area.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
You know what I learned when the flood came through in 2016? That was probably before you were a real estate agent. But, but when the flood happened, it was like housing was kind of shut down in certain areas.
Oh yeah.
So I learned that you have to broaden yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
So that when things happen in your area, you're not stuck.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
With nothing nothing coming through. So same thing, like, because we have hurricanes and things like that, that'll shut down parts of the state, but other parts will be running just normal. Right. So I kind of broadened myself beyond Baton Rouge at that point because that's when I realized it's important to establish yourself in multiple different areas and regions. At least within traveling. I mean, I wouldn't say go all the way up to like Monroe or something.
Exactly.
And constantly do business in Monroe, because that's a little bit of a drive. But around here in South Louisiana, we can get somewhere within an hour, maybe 2 hours. That's feasible. And then, so I appreciate that you're an expert in the Southern, but you also come over to Baton Rouge. It's not that far.
It's really not.
And it's kind of an extension.
I personally like driving, so I'm willing to go anywhere. I plot my little podcast on, and I'm down. Yeah,
I do the same thing, and so I don't mind taking. I call it a road trip.
Yes.
Every now and then I'll take our little drive to another, to maybe New Orleans or Slidell or Hammond or something for a closing or an open house or something like that, where I can kind of get out of the house a little bit.
Yes.
So that's that is definitely it's kind of. From the pandemic, everybody's kind of used to working from home now.
Yes, and so I don't like it.
I know.
I'd rather be on the go, because at home I'm like in my relax mode.
Yeah.
So I like to go to like coffee shops or literally anywhere else.
Well, since you're not from Baton Rouge, now you have a little place that you can come in and sit and work, because instead of just sitting in your car working or wherever.
Exactly.
Or a coffee shop. Coffee shops are good, but they can be a little bit noisy.
Yes, I have found that.
Yeah. So, so having a little place like this to come in and pop in and work. So I'll introduce you to Teresa before you leave. But,
I'm excited.
So is there anything else that you want to share with us on today's podcast that we didn't cover?
Let me think. I mean, honestly, just like what we touched on with first-time homebuyers, reach out to lenders first or get in contact with your local real estate agent, hopefully me, and I will put you in contact with Amy or lenders, just whatever you need. And that's the first step. And don't be too scared, because it will very rarely, if ever, be a no. It'll just be a not right now. And you won't know where to go from there until you ask.
That's right.
And with staging, I mean... I'm willing to stage your house, whether virtually or physically, and I give all my listing clients free virtual staging. So that's a perk if you list with me.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, because that's definitely needed, especially if the home is vacant. So
exactly, vacant homes,
really, and then you can help them kind of get their own. If they do have furniture, you can help them arrange it.
I have suggested that to my listing clients, and they listened and it sold. So.
Well, cool. We'll throw your number up on the screen. So if someone is interested in either needing a real estate agent or needing a stager, they can give you a call.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for joining us today on today's episode of Rise and Thrive. I'm Amy LeBlanc, and we will see you later.